Welcome to day 3 of my 10-day Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. countdown as we head towards the Season 7 premiere, our final season. Today we're delving a bit more into Season 7 specifically, and I'm going to be doing a bit of more like speculation, kind of like the last video where I went over the promo that we got a little while back. In this video we're going to be talking about the poster that was released not long after the promo. I think it might have been like the day after, and also the episode titles that have been kind of released. So yeah, I did kind of want to start off by saying, you know, a lot of this video is going to be pure speculation. I'm almost certainly wrong on most of it, so don't take it as gospel by any means. But there may be a few things I talk about that is public knowledge, but may not have had like official announcement attached to it. So if you do want to go into Season 7 like completely blind to anything, even if, you know, you could easily find it out there online, in terms of like casting, some like production things, behind the scenes images that have been released, stuff like that. And if you don't want to get like spoiled-ish by those things that are already out there about the season, maybe come back to this video at a later date. I just wanted to kind of start off by saying that, just in case. But if you don't care about that and you're, you know, willing to sit back, relax and see me get a lot of things wrong, then let's get into it and enjoy. I have been wearing some like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. themed shirts for this series, and I do have another one I want to show off because you can't quite see it. But look, reserved for Daisy Johnson, Lemons. I love it. And I thought I'd wear this one because I'm going to be talking about Deke quite a lot in this video, I would assume, based on some of the things that I have to say. But yeah, we're going to be focusing on the poster that was released first and talking a bit about that in depth. And then I'm just going to go through all the episode titles that have been released for Season 7, the running order and everything. And I'm just going to kind of speculate about what those episodes could be about, talk about what episodes I'm most hyped for, and kind of have like a core 4 episodes that I'm really, really excited for. So I'll be talking about that a bit later on. But for now, let's look at the official poster that was released. So yeah, I talked about this in my video yesterday, with the kind of final like logo they showed at the end of that promo. It was all like very bluey and stuff like that. You know, it seems like the colour blue is like a big theme in this season, and this carries on into this poster in a major way. Not just like from clothing and everything, but the background and some like the fonts and titles and stuff. So that may be like a key colour for this season. You know, sometimes that does kind of, the promotional material does kind of bleed into the season in that sense. Like Season 6 definitely did, particularly in Fear and Loathing on the Planet of Coulson. It had some very like vibrant neon colours in that episode, and that was kind of a reflection of the promotional art we got for that season and the posters and stuff. So I feel like blue like hues and blue sets and scenes may have a big deal to do with Season 7. Who knows, or maybe they just thought blue looked good for this promotional material. Again, I could be talking absolute crap. So yeah, obviously we have the main logo at the bottom there alongside the premiere date. Fairly obvious what that means, and at the top the final mission. Again, fairly obvious what that means because it's the final season, so of course it's their final mission. Is their final mission actually going to be about saving S.H.I.E.L.D. by saving Hydra, like they talked about in the promo? That remains to be seen, but I'm very, very excited. Also, very, very nervous and sad to get into this final season because then the show's over. So yeah, we're going to talk about a few background elements first before I delve into all the individual characters. But the first thing to note, I think, near the top left, is obviously the ship, the Zephyr, that the team are going to be using as like a main base for the season, I would presume. And there's been a lot, like quite a few behind the scenes photos of like this new kind of Zephyr kind of set, and this seems to be like their new hub as opposed to like the lighthouse or the bus or whatever in previous seasons. So this may be their new kind of HQ, I suppose, and that makes sense considering you know, it seems they're going to be time traveling a lot this season. They're not really going to have like a stable place that they can just go to all the time, like a constant, because they're going to be time traveling through loads of different periods and different places. So it makes sense that, you know, their ship would kind of be the HQ of this season. So it makes a lot of sense that we have that. Also, near kind of the bottom left-ish, we have a good old-fashioned vehicle, as they used to say in the olden days. I don't know if that's true. I just said vehicle and it came out that way, so I rolled with it. Again, am I reading too much into this and they just wanted to fill some space? Maybe. Is it Sousa's vehicle, who knows? Is it going to be a Chronicon vehicle? Is this going to be involved in like a chase sequence in the season? Who knows? Maybe they just want to represent some of the time periods that they're going to be visiting in the season, so they put that car in there. It could easily be simple as that. Maybe it has a lot more significance. Again, we're not really going to know until the season's over and done with. And then the other two kind of background pieces that I think are very interesting to me are the rocket launching on the left side, and then we also have a rocket diner on near the right, just behind Yo-Yo. And again, the rocket imagery, we saw a bit of that in the original kind of teaser we got for the season way back when, and there's a rocket kind of launching one of those shots. I talked a bit about the rocket potentially being tied into some scenes in the promo in yesterday's video. So it seems like the rocket's going to be a pretty big deal. We don't exactly know how and why. Is this going to be like a big threat for them? Are they in the rocket? Is it a Chronicon rocket? Is it like a weapon of mass destruction that they have to prevent or stop them somehow? Who knows? But the fact that they do have a rocket on here is very interesting, especially when there is also like a rocket diner. So is that going to be a link between those two? Is this rocket that we've seen fire up underneath this rocket diner? So it's kind of like a little inside joke. There's been a bit of speculation. Is the rocket diner maybe where Fitz is hiding out in present day? Maybe this is his base of operations, because we know he's kind of hiding from the Chronicons and Gemma can't know where he is. Maybe he's kind of hiding back there somewhere, and this is kind of his cover and his disguise. Maybe he had to kind of flee from the lighthouse or whatever. So maybe a present day base of operations for S.H.I.E.L.D. is like this rocket diner. And so there's loads of different ways that could go about things. But again, the cars that are outside that diner looked a bit more old-fashioned to me, so I feel like this may be a setting from like the 1930s or whatever other period in the past it may go. So maybe it doesn't quite link to Fitz, or maybe it does. Who knows? That's the fun of speculation. Nothing's more fun than getting stuff wrong. So yeah, now we'll just go through all the characters one by one. We'll start with LMD Coulson first, because obviously he's like the main man in the poster. He takes up the nice room, looking very like Inspector Gadget, which is kind of funny, because I think Coulson may have made an Inspector Gadget joke at some point. I think someone pointed that out the other day. Looking very suave in his little cap there. And yeah, I'm excited to see LMD Coulson kind of blending in, not just as Coulson, but also in this other time period and stuff like that. So that's going to be really interesting to see. And of course, you can note that it would seem all the ladies on the poster seem to be in more of their like old-timey clothes, and along with LMD Coulson. Mac and Deke seem to be wearing something a bit separate, which could be from an episode later on this season that I'm going to be talking about a bit later on. And then Fitz seems to be in like his standard modern day clothes, which I'm sure we'll get onto when we talk about him. But yeah, Coulson just seems to be undercover in the 1930s, and I'm excited to see that. Obviously a lot of these poses in this poster are pre-existing images of some characters. I'm pretty sure, at least I'm sure that May and Fitz, their positions in this poster, the artist who designed this, who did a fantastic job by the way, I think this poster looks amazing, they are taken and copied basically from some season 5 promotional images of them. So it's not like they posed specifically for this poster or anything. They just kind of copied them how they looked in those images and then just put different clothes on them, which is interesting to note. And then other characters, I think Daisy and Coulson might have been copied as well, but it's kind of interesting how they've kind of switched it up a bit. So yeah, we have that going on. Daisy again looks more kind of 1930s-esque, maybe not quite so much the hair as we've ever seen like other shots of her, but we've seen a few pictures of her in like this kind of purpley kind of dress, and kind of a hat holding a lot of her hair in. So if she took that off, I can imagine her hair looking a lot like that. And I think she is wearing that same dress. It's certainly the same kind of colour style. So I think it could easily be what we've seen in those promotional pictures of her, the purpley kind of thing. Or maybe this is something that she's wearing near the end of the promo from the video I was talking about yesterday. So yeah, again, just blending into the 1930s, looking beautiful as always, badass. And then Gemma, of course, seems to again be in a very 1930s-esque styling with her hairstyle and the coat and everything. And we know she's obviously with the team, so she's going to be blending in somehow. Exactly what she's going to be doing and her role in the plot, we aren't so sure on, because we haven't seen any of Fitz or Simmons in any of like the video material or trailers or teasers or anything we've gotten for this season. Fitz, that isn't quite so surprising, which we'll talk about, but it's surprising we haven't got a lot of Gemma in those trailers yet, so maybe she's just in some very spoilerific scenes. But we do know she's kind of main cast and she's sticking around, and that intrigues me as to what her role's going to be, but she does awesome. I can't wait to see all these characters that we're so used to seeing, like even in the present day or the future in the past. It's kind of cool. And then May, this is the outfit that we saw her in the promo I was talking about in yesterday's video. The kind of red and white dress that we'd seen. So we've actually seen that in live action already. So we kind of know about when that outfit may make an appearance in the season, because obviously everyone's outfits could be at different points of the season. It's not all like they're all based on one episode or anything. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, exactly why she's wearing like these bright colours, because that's very unlike May for the most part. Is she undercover, etc, etc. Then behind her we have Yo-Yo or Elena, again looking awesome. And we don't often see her in some brighter colours either. So this is going to be really interesting to see her kind of blend in to like the past, especially with like robot mechanical arms and everything. So they're going to be doing stuff about that, and I'm excited to see exactly what that's going to entail. So that should be really cool to see a bit of her. And then I think the more interesting and surprising when this poster first came out of the two, particularly Deke, but also Deke and Mac, seem to have quite something going on. The promo in yesterday's video, Mac was wearing this kind of vest that he has on, and also just his arms on display that can easily crush anything, because my goodness, Henry Simmons is quite the intimidating man. And yeah, he looks very serious, and I think, based on some speculation I'm going to talk about when I talk in the episode titles later on, I think these two outfits may be from episode 7. And that's just kind of my theory that I've got going on right now. Again, I could be totally wrong, but I'll talk about that a bit more when I talk about the episode titles. But yeah, we've seen Mac in the promo wearing this vest, and he also had like the bandana-y thing kind of on his head as well. And I really like it. I really like the design of it. Like the little shield logo or everything on it. So not particularly inconspicuous. So I'm kind of wondering, maybe this is more of like a fantasy kind of sequence, or a sequence in like the present day or the future, or whatever, where they're not like undercover, because he's clearly proudly wearing his shield kind of uniforms here. So I'm excited to see exactly what that's going to entail. Either way, he looks badass. And then we have Deke right at the front here, with his red kind of bandana and ascot, and basically a lot of red going on here. And I've seen a few people online who've kind of compared this look to an old kind of like action-y movie. I can't remember exactly what one it was. And that again ties into what I think episode 7 could be about, and that's what I think this look is from. It seems very outlandish, kind of crazy, because basically I think episode 7 could be kind of a crazy romp in the same vein as Fear and Loathing on the Planet of Coulson, episode 3 of last season. It could be a bit crazy, and I think Mac and Deke could be heavily involved in that episode, as I will talk about a bit later on. And I think maybe this could be like his outfit when he don't think he's like being a proper badass, going on like a super adventure, trying to kick some ass basically, potentially failing, or it's like a framework fantasy kind of thing again, where he's all dressed up looking what he perceives to be very cool. But it's a cool outfit. I think if I ever like do a cosplay or something, I'd love to go as that version of Deke, because I think it's going to look really cool. So I'm excited to see exactly how this outfit in particular is going to play into events on season 7, because it definitely stands out, I think, amongst all the other ones. And then finally, like I mentioned earlier, we have Fitz right at the back there, smaller than everyone else, not really surprising, in like more modern day clothes, because we know from the end of season 6 he's still in the present day. He's kind of stuck there, hiding out from the Chronocoms, so he's not going to be with the team in the past, because we were born to suffer as Fitz fans. And we also do know from people who've worked on the show, etc., and people who have watched episode 1 already at D23 last year, we know that Ian isn't main cast in season 7, so we're not going to be seeing Fitz much at all. I'm guessing 2 or 3 episodes at most, so I'm kind of trying to keep my expectations quite low. We don't know when he's going to turn up, because all the official press releases for the episode still list him as main cast, even though he's not. So I think they're keeping when he turns up in the season a bit of a surprise. You know, he might just be in a tag scene at the end of an episode at some point, before he like makes a proper official return. So I don't think we're actually going to see him until the last 2 or 3 episodes of the season, if I'm honest. It's a big blow to me. When I first found that out, I was gutted, because Ian's my favourite actor of all time. Fitz is my favourite character of all time. He's my favourite character on the show. and I was devastated that he wasn't going to be main cast and he's not going to be around a lot. But that does kind of mean they can't hurt him. They can't do too much to him if he's not on screen there to be punished. And I'm also a bit more thankful that if we're not going to see him near the end of the season, I think it's more likely that they would use his screen time a bit wiser than otherwise. So we can't suffer too much, we can't see him suffer as much, and maybe there's more chance they'll get a happy ending if he's only around for the last couple of episodes, so they can't really do too much with him. I don't know if Ian just didn't want to be a main cast member for season 7 for whatever reason. Maybe he was filming something else, busy with other projects, whatever. But, you know, we don't know exactly how that all worked out. And, you know, I think doing like season after season of a show like this could be very tiring anyway. So if he just wanted a bit of a break, he's like, guys, I just want to step back a bit. I don't want to be main cast for this season. I think that's absolutely fair enough. Obviously, it's a big blow to me, and it did suck a lot of my initial excitement for the season out of me, knowing that Fitz wasn't going to be around very much. But it is what it is. We just kind of have to accept it. And there's so much more that I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for anyway. I still love literally every other character on this poster still. So even if my favourite's not going to be around all that much, I survived the first few episodes of season 5, and season 7's kind of pretty short, really. And I think it's going to make his big return and his big appearance whenever he does show up all the more spectacular. And I can't remember exactly what one. They kind of did a smaller version of this poster to like put on the like Twitter banner and stuff like that, their Facebook banner. I can't remember which one it was, but one of them didn't even have Fitz on that. So he's obviously not going to be a big part of this season, which is kind of okay. You know, it's bittersweet again, especially because it's like, I'd have loved him to be around all the time because it's the last season, it's the last chance I'm going to get to spend with this character. But it is what it is, and we move on, and it's going to make it all the sweeter when he does make his appearance. I think he's going to be quite badass and maybe rescue the team at the end of the season or something, and kiss his wife and retire from S.H.I.E.L.D. and have babies, god damn it. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what Fitz's role is going to be in things, however small. At least he's in the season, you know? We could have had season 5 be the end and they killed him, and I would have never gotten over that betrayal from the writers at the end of season 5. I would have been so pissed if that was the end. So the fact that we've got more is a blessing, and the fact that we are going to see him at some point in season 7 gets me really excited because we never know when he's going to pop up. So yeah, amazing, amazing poster. I really love it. I love the kind of hand-drawn feel to it. It looks very kind of old-fashioned kind of poster, like the old movies, which makes sense given that we know a good chunk of this season is going to be set in like the 1930s and some old kind of moments in the past. So that's really cool. I really love the look of it. I wasn't even expecting Fitz to be on the poster, so the fact that he was a nice surprise for me. And I think it looks great, and there's a lot to kind of speculate just on this kind of short image. I think it's such an amazing poster. It's one of my favourites that we've gotten, I think, in seasons gone by. I loved the season 6 one as well, but this one I think is one of my favourites that we've ever gotten from the show. Season 2 was also great. I really liked that one. And yeah, should be really, really good fun. And I enjoy speculating about nonsense like that. And again, I could be completely wrong on everything that I've said, but really, really cool poster. I really love it. And yeah, that's that. And for the second half of this video, I'm going to be talking about all my thoughts and speculations based on the 13 episode titles for season 7. Okay, so I do have my notebook here. I've written like notes on all the episode titles and stuff, because some of them I did have to kind of like Google what they may or may not mean. I think it just provides a bit more context and stuff to speculate about then. So yeah, I do have it all written down, so if I look down, I'm just checking my notes. And yeah, so we do have all the episode titles, at least, you know. They're not like officially confirmed or anything yet, but the first few have been announced and they line up with this. We got these a long time ago. But the order wasn't really finalised or anything, but it does seem to be this is going to be the running order of the episodes. And again, we don't know the plots, we just really know the titles, so I could get a lot wrong here, basically. I do have like a core 4 episodes that I'm very, very hyped for, and I'll talk about them when I kind of get to it. But one of them is actually episode 1, which is called The New Deal. And yeah, I think based on that title, my completely outlandish theory that's not going to make any sense and is going to be completely wrong is Ghost Rider. It's the New Deal. Maybe he makes a new deal with Ghost Rider. Someone does. He's going to come back. I would love to see Ghost Rider again in the show. I don't think it's going to be happening, unfortunately, especially because when all this was being filmed and everything, they did still have plans for the Hulu show. Then that got cancelled. So that's kind of a shame, but who knows. But yeah, The New Deal is one of my core 4 that I'm excited for, mainly because it's the season premiere and we're going to see exactly what the season's going to entail and what it's going to be about, and it's going to be exciting to see all these characters again, so I'm very, very hyped for that. But yeah, the New Deal could be about like adjusting to their new mission, their new goal, the new time period that they're in. You know, Gemma could be like, guys, listen, this is the deal. This is what we have to do, blah, blah, blah. And it's the New Deal, as opposed to any Ghost Rider stuff, which isn't going to happen. So yeah, it could just be about settling into like the 1930s or whatever time period they start off with. And this is like them adjusting to like a new normal or their new goal for the season. So I'm very, very excited to obviously see all these characters again, see exactly what the plan is for this season and what the plot may entail. And episode 1's always good at planting some seeds and some hints for that. So I'm excited to kick off our final season with that episode. Episode 2 is called Know Your Onions, which when I first heard it I was like, what the hell? And I actually googled it, and it is actually an expression, it is a phrase. And know your onions is to be knowledgeable about something. So if someone like seems really caught up on this topic and really knowledgeable about a certain subject, you'd be like, oh, you really know your onions, which I didn't know. So I learned something new from this episode title. So thank you, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for teaching me things. So exactly what that may mean, I don't know. My wild speculation would be maybe this is where Susan's brought into the show. Obviously Susan for Agent Carter, as we talked about already from yesterday's video, he's showing up this season. Maybe they need to know a lot of knowledge about a particular subject in like this new time period that they're in. And Susan would be the guy, and he has like this connection to S.H.I.E.L.D. through Peggy, for example. And he could, you know, give them all this information about stuff. Or it could be like a completely different contact. It could be even Enoch, talk about the Chronicons and giving more details about them. And I just noted down that Know Your Onions seems like something Deke would love. We know he's all about the lemons, and I feel like he'd get obsessed with the phrase Know Your Onions as well. I just feel like that would be something that would really amuse him. But again, they might not even say the expression Know Your Onions in the episode, it might just be referring to like a plot line or anything. Or again, it could be like a throwaway jokey line that doesn't actually have much to do with outside of the rest of the episode, which is always the fun about episode titles. I love a good episode title, me. That's something to know about me. I love a good episode title, and we've got some awesome ones this season. And that one is included because I really like that I actually learned a new phrase from an episode title of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So yeah, I don't really have much more speculation to say on that, but I think it's an interesting one, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what this person or people or machine, villain, whatever, is going to be knowledgeable about. Episode 3 is called Alien Commies from the Future. So yeah, I don't have a lot to kind of speculate, because with Marvel, very tight-lipped about everything. You never really know a lot about the plot, especially with the promotional material for this season. They haven't really given us a lot in terms of plot or anything in the teasers and stuff, which is fine, because I don't really want to know too much, especially when it's the last season. I know a lot of people complained about the season 6 trailers and stuff, giving a lot of the plot away for the season. So they've really kind of stripped that back for this season, and I think that does build the excitement. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that may entail, but it does mean they don't really have a lot of like plot specific speculation to state about any of these episodes. So all I have really for this is that maybe the team are referred to as alien commies from the future by someone in the past, or the Chronicons or whatever, or the Chronicons are like jokingly referred to as that by some randomer, and then they get awfully murdered by the Chronicons or their face is stolen, whatever. So that could be interesting to see exactly what that entails, but it's a very S.H.I.E.L.D.y title, that one, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that's actually going to mean. Episode 4 is called Out of the Past. So this, for me, makes me think they're going to be leaving the past and leaving where they are now. It could be they go to a different time period, still in the past, but just leaving like the 1930s or whatever, or they go back to the present day and, you know, their time travel bit's over for like an episode or two, then they go again, or they're just in the present for the rest of the season. We don't really know how long they're going to be time traveling for. So it could be about them leaving New York and going somewhere else. And yeah, it could be them returning to present day, and maybe they're already in present day at this point in the season. Maybe they've already returned, and something from the past, from out of the past, has like followed them there and is going to cause trouble in the present day or in the future or in a different kind of time period a bit later on from the 30s, for example, which I think could be very, very interesting. So that's kind of what I have to say about that one. Episode 5 is another interesting title. It's called A Trout in the Milk. And this I had heard of, but I didn't quite know what it meant. So I always got it confused with blood in the water. Trout in the milk, blood in the water. Both two strong sayings, but this one thanks you to Mr. Google. It's a strong circumstantial evidence. For example, a dairy farmer, you may not have seen in this dairy farmer like watering down their milk to like produce more product. You may not have actually seen that happening. You may not have seen him like dunk all these milk jars into the river to make them a bit more watered down so he can sell more of the product. But maybe you found a trout in the milk that would have come from the river. So strong circumstantial evidence. So exactly how that's going to tie into a plot line, I'm not quite sure. But maybe something, someone could be wrongly accused of something and we go to trial. Who knows? Maybe it's kind of like evidence of someone being betrayed or a betrayal in the team. Because in another trailer we got recently, we did see Enoch seem to be siding with the other Chronicoms at some point. We also saw Enoch and May fighting, so I don't know if Enoch's going to betray the team at some point, and maybe in this episode he gets outed somehow. We don't know. So I'm intrigued as to exactly what this is going to entail. Is someone going to get wrongly accused of something? Are they going to have to defend someone who's been wrongly accused? Or is it them finding something out, a big secret about someone? And they've kind of found this strong circumstantial evidence to prove that. I don't know, but I also feel like at this point it's around the halfway point of the season. This could be an episode where things really kick into another gear and shit really hits the fan and things are going to get crazy from here on out. That's kind of what I'm feeling from around this point of the season. So that's kind of what I have to say about that one. Episode 6 is called Adapt or Die, which is a nice, wholesome title. No, it's not really, is it? But again, I think this could be even more escalation of like the main plotline. Things are really looking bleak for the team here. Things are going to get quite troublesome and stuff like that. And we're kind of reaching the peak of everything going like, and crazy, and the villains may be winning the day or whatever, as we always get around the halfway point of a season. I also could think maybe based on Adapt or Die, maybe it's about the Chronicoms adapting to their environments and like stealing faces so they can blend in and everything. So maybe it's maybe a Chronicom very like heavily focused on that plot line for an episode. Maybe we see a lot of the Chronicoms in this episode, kind of like episode 15 of season 5, focused a lot on the backstory of Hale and all her kind of past. So maybe we're going to get a similar kind of thing, explaining a bit more of the Chronicom lore or something. Or maybe this is kind of about them, about the team adapting to yet another new time zone and fitting in with another new kind of time period or whatever, and trying to get back to a normal life or something, just trying to adapt into this new situation or this new lifestyle or this new location that they found themselves in. So again, a lot of this is open to loads of different speculations. That's kind of where my brain was going, so we'll see. Episode 7 is the second of my core 4 that I'm very excited for. And I talked about this a bit earlier with the poster with Mac and Deke, because the title is The Totally Excellent Adventures of Mac and the D, which is probably the greatest title ever. And again, so we know there seems to be a lot of focus on Mac in there, and the D seems almost certainly like a nickname that Deke would give himself because he thinks it looks cool or sounds cool or whatever. So this gave me a lot of vibes from like Fear and Loathing on the Planet of Kitson. It just seems like it sounds like an absolute crazy romp episode, maybe like a very light-hearted and funny one of Mac and Deke maybe teaming up, going on like this crazy adventure, maybe in like a framework or something, and that's why Deke's dressed in that like red outfit. That's why Mac's got the bandana on and open with his like shield stuff, and that shot of him in the promo I talked about yesterday with the gun and everything. Maybe things are going to get crazy because they look like they're kind of in the lighthouse there. There have been a few shots we've seen of Daisy fighting in the lighthouse, so we know we're going to be going there at some point, whether it's in the past or present day, whatever. So maybe it all could be taking place in like this virtual world, or maybe it is literally Mac and Deke go out in the town and cause some trouble and fight a gang or fight some Chronicoms or whatever, and it's like a team up. Or the D could be someone completely new that we haven't met, or someone else entirely. It's not about Deke, but based on how the Totally Excellent Adventures of Mac and the D sounds, that almost certainly sounds like, to me, something Deke would say and make up, and like telling this totally cool story about him and Mac being all badass, trying to like impress Daisy or something. That's what it sounds like to me. It feels like a very Deke-esque title and like a fun kind of romp episode, and it could tie into the crazy outfits we saw them wear in that poster and in the promo and everything. So I don't know, I get a lot of cool and funny vibes from that title. and that's why I'm really, really hyped for that episode in particular, and that's why it's in my core 4. Episode 8 is called After Before, which sounds like a very time travel-y-esque title to me, and which makes sense given what we know the season's going to be about. So I think it may be heavily focused on like time travel aspects and shenanigans and stuff like that. Maybe they need to correct a mistake they've made to try and get the timeline back on track. You know, maybe they lose their mission to kind of save S.H.I.E.L.D. and save Hydra, so they have to redo it or something. Another time loop. Ugh, hopefully not. Or maybe After could refer to Afterlife, where Daisy met Lincoln. There's a lot of speculation that maybe we're going to be going back to loads of old S.H.I.E.L.D. locations from the years gone by and seeing all these old characters. Maybe Daisy could see Lincoln in the past or something in Afterlife. Maybe provide closure for her or something. We're not quite sure, but maybe the After in the title could refer to that. Maybe it could delve into more backstories for some characters. We could see them like a young May or a young Deke again, or you know, a young Daisy, whatever. It could be delving into like some more backstories, because we're not going to get much more of a chance to explore people's backstories, so that could be a cool time to do it at this point. Or it's just a way of them like using time travel to kind of reflect on the show. I feel like it's going to be them beginning to kind of reflect on how far these characters have come, how far the show's come, all these different plot lines and stuff as they begin to really wrap things up, because they only have 5 more episodes after the show to do it. So that's another interesting one. Again, we don't know too much about it plot-wise or anything, but it's a cool title nonetheless. As is the title for episode 9, which is another one of my core 4. It's called As I Have Always Been, which is a cool last title. I love it. And the main reason I'm hyped for this one is the fact that Elizabeth Henstridge, who plays Gemma, directed this episode. It's her directing kind of debut, I believe. And this has been talked about for a long time. Ming-Na Wen actually basically all but revealed this in an interview a long time ago, when maybe she wasn't supposed to, and Liz was kind of trying to be all coy about it. But she kind of just, yeah, she kind of let it slip a bit there that Elizabeth was kind of directing an episode. And we've seen shots of her like shadowing directors, kind of like preparing to be a director herself, which is really cool, and I can't wait to see what she does with this episode. And I do always get a thrill when like a cast member of a show actually directs an episode. You know, it happens quite a lot, and it's really cool to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. do that with Elizabeth, and I think she's clearly a very talented lady, and she's a very creative person, as you've kind of seen. If you've seen her YouTube channel, you know she's quite creative and quite, she has her really kind of strong sense of style and a sense of taste. And I think that's going to come across in her directing, and she's going to make a really cool episode. Another reason I'm kind of low-key hyped for this one is I feel like Elizabeth would want to direct Ian in an episode, so I'm kind of hoping maybe we get a Fitz appearance in this one, just because Liz directed it. It's completely nonsense, and there's no weight to that really whatsoever, because maybe this just happened to be a script they hadn't got a director for, and Elizabeth was like, oh, can I do it? But I just love the idea of Elizabeth directing Ian, because obviously we know those two have such a great kind of working relationship and such great friendship. And I'd love to kind of get some behind the scenes videos of like Elizabeth directing Ian. So even if he's like in a cameo or whatever, because we know Fitz isn't going to be around much, that's another reason I'm kind of hyped, because I like to think that maybe Ian would want to be in this episode. But again, maybe that's not how things work out, and you can't really control that. So yeah. As for like plots or characters in this one, I'm not really sure. Maybe LMD Coulson could be a bit of focus here. You know, the phrase "as I have always been" could maybe him trying to prove that maybe he really is like Coulson. And you know, this is the man I've kind of always been, just a bit different or something. Or maybe just the idea of destiny. Again, we're starting to wrap up the show at this point, reflecting on character arcs and character journeys. Maybe Daisy's kind of reflecting like her inhuman life, and that she was always meant to be Quake, you know, and in a way she always has been that, even before she got her powers. Things like that could be interesting to kind of delve into, but I'd love to think of it as like a very character-driven episode. Then episode 10 is called Stolen. Again, I don't really know much speculation about this one. It gave me very strong vibes for Leap, which was an episode title last season. I think that might have even been episode 10 as well. Obviously there's like a short, snappy, one-word title. Love those as well. But this makes me think of the Quanticoms again, like Stolen, maybe Stolen Faces, Stolen Identities, stuff like that. Maybe there's a vital item at play in the season, and the team like misplace it or gets stolen from them or something, and they have to retrieve it. Maybe someone gets kidnapped and they're stolen, and they have to kind of go on a rescue mission or something. a lot of possible things that could be. So that's that. Episode 11 is called Brand New Day, and maybe this refers to like them going to a new location, a new time period, or they go back to the present or something. And so it's a brand new day, we're in a different location, and then we can move on. I feel like this could be a good episode about like moving on and moving forward. You know, it's a brand new day, we'll start a new leaf, we'll start again. So again, maybe another episode about reflection and stuff as we wrap up the show and the season, just exploring the idea of like starting over and moving on from things that have happened to us throughout these past 7 seasons. And then episode 12 is called The End Is at Hand, which kind of speaks for itself really, because we know the show's coming to an end and that's going to be the penultimate ever episode of the show, so it makes sense to be called The End Is at Hand because it nearly is the end. There's only one episode left after that, so I feel like it's going to be about really wrapping up a lot of arcs. I feel like maybe if I had to bet on it, I feel like this may be the episode that Fitz comes back in like fully. And again, my outlandish thing, just like Ghost Rider in episode 1, because it was called The New Deal, maybe this is a pun and Victoria Hand comes back from the dead, or we see the origins of Victoria Hand and the end is at hand. It's ridiculous, but I like it. Watch that be correct and your minds are blown. It won't be, because there's no way they're bringing her back, because obviously she didn't even survive season 1, so why would they bring her back 6 years later? I don't know, but it just made me think of her. Maybe it's because I'm going through season 1 of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the minute and she keeps popping up. But yeah, I think it's going to be obviously a lot of wrapping up things. I'd like them to kind of wrap up the whole Chronicom threat and stuff maybe in episode 12, and then episode 13 is kind of dealing with wrapping up the rest of the show and all the characters, giving them plenty of time to breathe, as opposed to just focusing on like, oh, we have to stop the baddie, and then you have like 5 minutes to wrap up the entire show. I feel like they need a lot more breathing room for that. So we'll see. I'd like to see that's the case, and maybe the threat gets eradicated and dealt with in that episode. Maybe even like a big sacrifice in that episode, maybe, because I think there's no way we're going to survive and get through this season without losing at least one major character, I don't think. So maybe there's going to be like a big sacrifice there. Or if not, in the very next episode, which is the last episode of the show, episode 13, which is the final one in my core 4, and it's called What We're Fighting For. It's also written by Jed Whedon, so I'm scared. I'm very nervous about this one. Obviously it's in my core 4 because it's the last ever episode. I want to see how they wrap things up. Hopefully a happy ending for Fitzsimmons. That's the one thing I really, really want. That's it. Just give me that. Okay, please, dear God, they deserve it. I don't think I'll ever get over it if Fitzsimmons don't get a happy ending of any kind. Have them get stuck in the past together or something, as painful as that would be, or just have them retire and they never see the rest of the team again or something, to ensure their safety. They can never contact the team again. As long as they're together, alive, happy, healthy, baby girl Fitzsimmons, that's all I really need for the finale. But yeah, What We're Fighting For is what it's called, and I think it's all going to be about the main message of the show, and we're going to see what all these characters have been fighting for all this time, and are they going to achieve like a happy ending or not? You know, are they going to stay in S.H.I.E.L.D.? Are people going to leave S.H.I.E.L.D. maybe because it's the end? Who knows? And obviously, yeah, I'm just hyped for it 'cause it's going to be the end of the show, and I'm excited to see how they wrap things up. And yeah, hopefully happily for a lot of people. But again, it's Jed Whedon writing it. He's broken our hearts many times before. As far as I'm aware, Marissa isn't actually writing anything this season, at least not according to Wikipedia. So maybe she joint wrote this episode or maybe not, but nothing so far. So that's kind of interesting that Jed may have written this on his own. But again, they wrote season 5 finale as a potential series finale, and they killed Fitz. And I was left wholly unsatisfied about that. If that had been the end, I'd have been very pissed off. Because if that was just going to be it anyway, why not just keep him alive? I get, you know, oh, he's still out there, you can just go and get him, but we wouldn't have seen that, and I think that would have been very, very unsatisfying, and I would have been very angry about that, because you'd have ended the show in the very ever last episode that would have been, and we didn't get a single Fitzsimmons scene in that episode. They didn't interact at all. The one time they did, it was a deleted scene, so it got cut from the episode with Deke. And yeah, it would have been left with Gemma on her own trying to find Fitz. We wouldn't have actually seen the reunion or anything, so we wouldn't have really had an emotional payoff to them even killing off Fitz. So I'm kind of nervous because they said that was a very satisfying end in the build-up to that episode, and for me it definitely wasn't. So hopefully this is going to do the show justice. I do have some trust in them, but not maybe with a series finale, given how that was supposed to be season 5. But I think they wouldn't do that to us again, and I think after everything, especially because Jed and Marissa base a lot of Fitzsimmons' relationship on their own relationship. I like to think they would give them a happy ending. And hopefully, you know, a lot of the characters we love are going to have a nice ending and a satisfying one above all else, you know. I don't think everyone's going to survive it, unfortunately, and that's going to be heartbreaking, but as long as it's a satisfying and satisfactory ending, which for me, 522 was not, that's all I can really ask for, and I hope this incredible show goes out on a high, and hopefully what we're fighting for is going to do that for us. So yeah, those are the 13 episodes, those are my thoughts on it all, and also, obviously earlier, my thoughts on the poster and speculation there. I've probably, again, gotten 98% of that wrong, if not 99% of that wrong, if not 100% of that wrong, but we'll see. And I'm excited to see how right/wrong I am. It'll be interesting to kind of come back to these videos after the season's done and see exactly if I got anything right. Because I'm really not confident in anything, but that's the fun and speculation, you know? So yeah, let me know your thoughts on my thoughts and maybe what your speculation could be based on those episode titles and what you've seen in the poster. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed all the speculation. The rest of this series is going to be not so much like speculation about the season or anything, really. Outside of maybe one video, but I wanted to kind of get all the info dump about Season 7 out of the way in the first couple of days. So all the heavy stuff's really out of the way now, and the videos are going to be a bit snappier and shorter for the rest of the countdown, because, you know, it's only a certain amount of hours in the day. But yeah, either way, I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts, and maybe clarifying a few things if you didn't know some of the episode titles or whatever. Hopefully you're excited for them. Let me know what episodes you're excited for in particular, and what you thought of the poster and everything. I have it as my phone background, I really do love it. And yeah, until tomorrow's video, thanks for watching.